Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is Leading Off, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. It's me, Joey P. Joe Pisapia with me is the Welsh, and of course, it's you. It's been a fun weekend of baseball to talk about. The Blue Jays, at some point, stop scoring runs, I think, against the Red Sox. I don't know for sure. It might still be going.
Joe, there's rumors around the world that they're still scoring runs as we speak. At this moment, runs are still being scored on the Boston Red Sox. No one really knows. We just are told the tale.
We did. The legend of the Toronto Blue Jays offense continues to grow here, and hopefully that's a team that offensively needs to get off to a good start. Lourdes Gurriel has been red hot too. I keep waiting for that shoe to drop. I keep saying he's a guy to trade high at this point because he just can't sustain it as far as I'm concerned. But it's good to see some life out of the Blue Jays offense. We're going to see some life this week out of Jacob deGrom, hopefully as well. Lots to talk about. There was even a trade over the weekend, too. Daniel Vogelbach goes to the Mets for a minor league reliever. Your thoughts on this from a fantasy perspective? What kind of impact can Vogelbach have in this lineup? And it appears the Mets are also connected to Trey Mancini, I saw today, connected to Josh Bell. So lots of moving pieces there. What happens to Alonso then as first baseman? Does he get more days in the DH spot, you think?
I think it just gives them a little bit more flexibility. I think one big thing is it signals the absolute end to Dominic Smith. I know he's been down in the minors and there have been trade rumors with him. I think that was all but a signaling that he's gone. I can't tell if this is going to be like a Vogelbach is locked in, this was their choice, or this was just a really cheap addition if they can't make another move. I mean, from a fantasy perspective, here's one of the positive things. Vogelbach has seen a lot of pitches this year. He can come out of the leadoff spot. He was in the Pirates leadoff spot, and he's going to make a lot of contact. I don't have really, really high hopes unless I was in a deep league, but I just think it provides a little bit more flexibility. Throw Alonso over at DH even more so they're comfortable. If they want to screw around or they want to throw him near the top of the lineup, that's where things get interesting. You know, maybe total base props. Maybe you're just trying to chase some runs. But outside of that, I mean, he's relatively minimal fantasy value.
You mentioned the fact that Dom Smith's probably the odd man out. Now, in keeper leagues and dynasty leagues and stuff like that, Welsh, I mean, to me, Dom Smith was never a prototypical first base slugging kind of guy. I mean, I thought he was an odd draft pick at the time. I didn't love it. But look, he's been a guy that's shown you he could hit for some high average. Do you have any hope for him getting an everyday job somewhere else potentially? Do you see him as a buy cheap? I don't want to say buy low, but a buy on the cheap and somebody could be useful? Or is this a guy that the organization's moving on because they're telling you he's not really a full major league everyday player?
I kind of think it might be the latter right there.
Yeah, me too.
It reminds me of the Clint Frazier situation. Remember where it was like, man,
that's a good comparison.
Clint Frazier could just get going. If he could just get this spot and we could see the bat speed, we could and then he did, and it didn't work. And we always kept wondering, like, why isn't Clint Frazier off this team? Are the Yankees really holding so high? And then I kind of see it as a similar situation that's going to end up happening. If he were, such a talent that everybody thinks they can fix, why would they have not made a trade? You got to imagine the Mets are just dying to move off of him. There's no home. And also you want to do right by the player sometime. So I think I would liken it to more Clint Frazier than it is hidden talent.
Yeah, and you could tell Mike Mayer's back in the chat because he's already saying, I look jaundiced in my new lighting. This is just me. I am very swarthy and dark on the YouTube channel in the summertime. I step outside, I get tan. It's just my complexion.
I do have a request, though. This is a request, though.
Okay.
If you're going to have that lighting, when you start the show, I need you to go, hey, yo. Ladies,
you still like the sexy version,
please.
Yeah, I would like the sexy time on this.
Yeah. I would like sexy time Joe to open up the show. Hey yo,
let's get to some more headlines, everybody. Oh yeah, Pete Alonso powers the Mets past the Padres after two anemic offensive nights for them. Ruiz reaches base 4 times for the Nats as they topple the Diamondbacks. You have Adolis Garcia at 4 hits, a home run and stolen base, and a victory over the A's. This was a player I talked about last week as interesting buy low. I know the TV show I do because this is a streaky player, and he had gone, I think at one point he had a stretch where he's hitting $111 over 10 games, and I'm like, well, that's a perfect time to make a trade for Garcia because eventually he's going to have the turnaround, and here we go. He's the turnaround, and whenever you see schedules looking for the West too, where they're going to beat up on teams like the A's, it's, you go ahead and you start to invest in those teams. You had Robbie Ray hit hard against the Astros and they get swept. So the Mariners riding high 14-game win streak. Welcome to the Astros. Welcome to the big league, son. Now you got a real team you got to play against. They've got a 4-game set coming up later this week. And none of those matchups favor them. In fact, it's Verlander versus Ray, I think, in that one where you thought they might have a shot. Look, the Mariners also deal with injuries. You had Winker go down with an injury. You had somebody else was injured too for them. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Oh,
I think
Mitch Haniger's been hurt.
And Haniger's supposed to be coming back soon.
He just started
Julio was dealing with the wrist. But
yes.
Did we see the end of the Mariners run?
No. I don't think we can do that. I mean, there were some players early on that played a little bit above, but you have a hurt Winker, you have a hurt Julio. Those are not great pieces. Haniger's going to come back to power the offense, but I mean, it's just repeating from what we've said a whole lot. Like, I think this team needs to make a crazy impactful trade. I know obviously they get thrown in the Soto stuff. Get a new table setter. Get someone. I'd like to see someone at the top of the lineup. I'd love to see like Ty France hitting 2 with somebody that just really gets going on a leadoff spot, and then get one more impactful pitcher, because that pitching is just Robbie. You don't know what Robbie Ray you're going to get at all times. You've got young guy like George Kirby in there. Yeah, it's not built for the playoffs. It's built for built
for the regular season, Welsh. I got to be honest with you.
Like, magical dream. Like, ooh, look at how fun is this team. It's like Moneyball. Like, we write a movie about it. Like, if they were to do anything, it's with this cast. But I don't think they're going to do anything with this crew. So I really, really believe that they should be just hyper aggressive on, I don't
know where they go, though. I don't think they're going to go back to the Reds because they already made their deal with the Reds. I'd be very surprised if they went back to that well again. Like, even maybe for Tyler Mahle, but they're not going to get Castillo. But it's kind of in a weird spot.
Get Castillo?
I mean, who you get? Is that the Kelenic deal? Is that what you're doing? Kelenic and Kirby?
Legit, the team should give a consideration. Well, you don't have to trade both of those guys. I think
for Castillo, I think you might. I mean, Kelenic's far from a sure thing at this point.
But they've got other pieces. You've also got a guy like Brash, which I feel like the Reds would just
Marte.
Jump
if
back.
you could deal Noelvi Marte.
If you really wanted to go that high, I think they would need to get like a bat back. If they wanted to trade Marte and Kelenic, I mean, that's a huge, massive trade. You'd have to get. It's a trade that fantasy people would be like, what? But real life, they'd be like, well, you're getting a controllable young.
Well, if you get Drury back too, he would be a useful piece. You could move all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, and Montes is still out there as well. You have to think that could be in consideration.
Yeah, I just don't think you want to give up the train for a guy who, shoulder issues. So
it's a good point. No, it's a really, really good point. I mean, Luis Castillo is like the bell of the ball, I think, at this point.
Speaking of the bell of the ball, Welsh, you were bell of the ball in the home run contest this weekend, taking Paul Goldschmidt at 2 yesterday. What, he had 4 over the week? I mean, something absurd, right? You were just on fire.
Well, I'm still very far away. As I saw, we'll talk about it later.
4 is a big jump. Total. You got 4 in a weekend. That's a big jump.
It was a huge jump, but it was like 20% of my total. And I was like, oh God, I'm so far away. I need a huge push. I need a couple more of these like 3 or 4 day spans with 4 homers. I'm not quite at the board, but we're getting there. And Goldie did me well with
sniffing
4 bombs. Yeah.
Sniffing the board. All right, let's move on to some more news here on the injury front. Steven Matz diagnosed with the torn MCL in the left knee. It was a weird play at first base, and you could see it go, and it was just like, yep, there we go. There we have it. And that's an injury, I think, real tough for the Cardinals right now. I mean, the Cardinals are kind of up against it, as great as Goldschmidt's been, and you're not going to have Goldschmidt or Arenado going against Toronto this week. So make sure you're setting your lineups appropriately there in fantasy. I will say this, the Cardinals kind of have to make a move here. They are still in striking distance of that division, Welsh, but more to the point, in this wild card, you want to stay afloat here. And I think they have a really good chance of making the playoffs. But, the Matt's injury, not that he is the biggest, most important one, but you're talking about innings now. So you're the guy who's like gone from the innings. Well, I think that hurts them.
Yeah, and I think they're probably going to be in the cheaper market. Like, we keep going back to where, like, every time we're talking about teams acquiring, we're like, hey, Castillo, Montes. But they're a team that would probably be going really cheap. Merrill Kelly, Madison Bumgarner has been put out there in the Diamondbacks. I think you're going to have to they're going to dig down that hole. It's not going to, as much as they need somebody, it's not going to be someone I think that we're like, oh my gosh, breaking news. It'll just be like, oh, the Cardinals might be able to fix this type of guy.
Freddie Peralta had his struck out 3 guys in AAA on Sunday, so he is working his way back. If for some reason he was dropped in your league, please go pick him up. I mean, it's possible. Sometimes rosters get squeezed, especially when you have limited IL spots with the way baseball is.
Well, also,
you can see him maybe floating out there in some spots.
There was kind of a like, this could be way longer than you think. Like this, I think we're on the best case scenario. I think we're on the best case scenario for Peralta.
Rosterer. It was pretty long. It was a good long time.
Yeah, and tout, I have DeGrom and Peralta. It's not good, but I think I'm coming off of 2 straight wins. and I have no chance to win it, but I am making a nice little comeback here. And hopefully both of those guys are going to help me.
Yeah, and also speaking of injuries too, you're gonna have Jazz Chisholm out for a while too, which hurts already a bad offense in Miami. I mean, Miami went 34 innings without scoring a run, and losing Jazz Chisholm's not going to help.
No.
Jesse Winker left his game with the right ankle sprain, so we'll keep an eye on that. Adam Duvall, season-ending wrist surgery for him, so the Braves lose a bat there. They're one of the deeper offenses. They can afford to lose him. Harris has played so well in the outfield too, so they have some depth there, obviously. But to me, it's all about just getting Ozzie Albies back healthy too. And the Braves offense is going to be fine. Duvall's not a huge injury there in that sense, but it is something from a depth standpoint. I could see them adding another outfielder at some point in time over the next 2 weeks. Mr. Alvarez returns from the IL, but sits on Sunday. Still got lingering soreness in the right hand. Does this concern you for the second half here with Alvarez in terms of his fantasy productivity?
A little bit. Yeah. I would say anytime you're dealing with, any type of injury with him, especially hand injuries, any zapping of power is something you want to look for. He's not quite on the injury prone tag, but it's something to monitor. I don't know if there's much to do with it. If you're really, really fearful of injuries and zapping of power, he's been playing at a premium. You could always look to consolidate. I'm not sure I would recommend that at that point. That might be a little bit overreactionary. The only other thing I want to add before we jump on, because this wasn't on here, because I think this is important. Fernando Tatis said, or he took on-field batting practice over the weekend, and he had said that he's expecting to face live hitters this week and potentially start a rehab assignment next week. So the first week in August would be starting a rehab assignment to whatever degree that could be. You could be looking at Tatis back second to middle half of August, which would be huge, huge, huge. But there's another injury person you worry about, and their value is jumping up right now because Tatis he's healthy. He's working, healthy. He's working to be healthy. He's going to be doing a rehab assignment. So his value is rocketing back up. Let me ask you, Joe. Who would you rather have rest of season, Fernando Tatis Jr. or Jordan Alvarez?
Still Alvarez for me. Because I also am not. I mean, look, it's a good question because when you're dealing with hand injuries here, you never know what's going to happen. But to me, I think what we're seeing here with Alvarez is more management. They're running away with that division. There's no reason to push Alvarez if he's having any soreness or anything like that. So I would still take Alvarez as opposed to the guy who was out for a very long period of time with an injury and not in timing. This is like, even if Tatis is healthy, where's the timing at? We don't know. Maybe he jumps back in there, boom, and he's good to go. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe it takes him a month or 3 weeks. And if so, it's already almost August. So I would still take Alvarez. Who would you take?
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the
good question
for the rehab assignment.
But you can have all the rehab in the world. Timing on major league pitching is not the same as, it's different.
No, you're not wrong about that. I almost need to not answer it. I don't know, because it's tough because
you can't ask a question of me and then not give an answer.
Well, no, we should move on to other topics. It just, here's the deal. When Tatis comes back, he will be close to one of the number one fantasy players. It's similar to like Ronald Acuna missing that time. Comes back, bam, you're one of the top guys in all of baseball. He's going to also be one of those guys. And it's tough because I think, from a power speed 5-tool perspective, he immediately starts to fill that role. But Jordan Alvarez has been so dominant this year. And I don't know if we quite have any indication that, he really is going to be zapped of power, or he's going to struggle with this wrist injury, or it's lingering. Any little linger, it's an easy Tatis. It might be a Tatis overall. I think I'll side on the not Welsh, like the one side of my brain, it's like the devil side of my brain that's like, take the upside, and the other one's like, Welsh, don't, just do the right thing. And I'll do the right thing, which is safe in Jordan Alvarez. But a little devil, he's poking up.
Linger, one of my favorite Cranberries tunes as well. Just want to throw that out there. I'm such a fool for you. I am. That's a good. I love the Cranberries. Cranberries are great. All right, can we talk about this? A little uproar. One of our favorite potential second half breakout guys who needs it in the worst way. Nick Castellanos had a little breakdown, as it were, with a reporter. I'm the Sultan of Segway. So the reporter asked him, do you hear the boos? And he was basically said, that's a stupid question. And he's right. I mean, oftentimes I'm the guy who's like, just, shut up and answer the question. That's your job. You're getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars. Just answer the question. But you know what? he's right, is a dumb question. Of course he hears the boos. Of course he does. And after this all broke down, if you haven't seen it, run to the Twitter machine and watch it.
It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. And you know
the
what?
reporter got a little pissy too. Like he kind of
got real pissy afterwards.
Yeah, he kind of like I don't know, he was kind of like a smaller dude. Like it wasn't a good move. And he kind of like got his finger out and moved forward. And immediately the guard is like, "No, we're not doing this." But he did have a good point where he told Castillo, he's like, if it's a stupid question, you should be, or Castellanos. I'm sorry, Castillo's in my head. He asked Castellanos, like, you should still be able to answer a stupid question. And Castellanos,
you know what? How about ask a better question? I mean, the guy knows he's struggling. The guy obviously cares. And you ask him, does he hear the boos? It's Philadelphia. You can hear the boos when you cross the city line.
It's a snarky reporter question. Like if
it's
you're
a snarky reporter question in a town. And this brings up a bigger point, and it's a fantasy point. It's a betting point. It's just a baseball point at the end of the day. You have these cities like St. Louis where they cheer you no matter what, where they're always super positive. And you have cities like Philadelphia. By the way, the Phillies are possibly going to be the team that's the longest playoff drought, by the way. Ooh, if they miss the playoffs this year.
That's fun.
Fun fact. So does environment matter in terms of investability when it comes to players, when it comes to fantasy, when it comes to wagering, when it comes to all of these things? Because Philadelphia is a negative place. I love it. I lived there for a while. It's a fun place. I still go there. Just took my kids there in the fall. In the spring, we had a great time. But think about it. I mean, it is not the easiest place to play. It's not the easiest place in terms of the fan base or the media base. Do you think that that's something that, when we see guys go there, that we should be just a little bit concerned or factor that into our evaluations of them?
I don't know. That would be a wild thing where it's like we've gone and we're like, all right, off, any pitchers in Colorado down, hitters in Colorado up. If we started like putting the negative factor, this would be the negative zone in Philadelphia where players go. And if they're not really super mentally tough, are they going to
who's ever gone to St. Louis and then been bad? You know what I mean? Like, think about it. It's like, look, they do a really good job of targeting players, but typically speaking, I'm not even the homegrown guys. I'm talking about the guys who get traded there or signed there. Most part it's gangbusters, man. And everyone's like, boy, they're geniuses. They're geniuses, but it's also wonderful environment in St. Louis.
Think it's a happy place? You think it's because
it's a very happy
so
place from a baseball standpoint? You go 0 for 4 4Ks. They're like, get them next time, kid. You go 0 for 4 4Ks in Philadelphia. They're throwing batteries at you, and they're throwing and it's just true. It's interesting. It was a dumb question, by the way, too.
The reporter was super snarky, and he was like hyper aggressive. And if I were like in a mode and stuff like that, and he was coming at me like that, I would just be like, I would have been. I mean, I probably would have been a little bit more than. You know what? I'm actually going to hat tip Castellanos for not like escalating it further because I thought the reporter was a jerk.
He got hot after
how he was doing. He got really hot, and the security guard literally like pushed him.
Okay,
off
that's enough.
He did the finger, and it's just like these dudes there's a lot of pressure on it, and you did ask a dumb question.
It was a Mike Mayer question. Hey, Nick, do you hear the boos? I mean, the question is, when you hear the boos, as a professional, are you able to block that out, or is the stress of situation bleeding over? Like, ask the question that way. Do you hear the boos? Is a dumb question.
There's a lot of different ways. I'm deaf. Like how does it affect you when your hometown team is turning against you in that respect? There's a lot of different ways.
It's a clown question, bro. Which once again, Philadelphia, if you recall, that's Bryce Harper in like Washington years, right? Remember, I was talking about there's certain places where
was that in Philly?
No, actually, that was in Washington. The clown.
No, I know he was in Washington, but was it a Washington reporter that asked him?
I can only assume it was. I can only assume it was a local beat reporter that asked him. But if it was a Philly reporter, that'd be amazing. But there's certain places where you get media who really pushes things, and I like when players call it out, and I also like when players just answer tough questions when people ask him. Speaking of tough questions, Victor Robles had his way with Madison Bumgarner, and Madison Bumgarner called him a clown, and then Victor Robles wore a red nose this weekend, which I thought was super fun. Fun facts. I know Welsh loves the fun stats and the fun facts. When the Blue Jays exploded for 2,800 runs on Friday night, they scored 28 runs on the road, hit an inside the park grand slam, hit for the home run cycle. So there was a solo, a 2-run, a 3-run, and of course the grand slam, which, by the way, inside the park grand slam with Ramil Tapia, it was Duran, right, in the outfield, who missed the ball, lost it in the twilight or whatever, but then he didn't run after it, which drove me crazy. Plus, it had a player with 6 hits in a 9-inning game. That's the first time that's all occurred ever in Major League Baseball. But more to the point, watching that game as a Red Sox fan, I can't imagine you're happy with the effort level at times. And I understand Chris Sale got hurt. I am selling the Red Sox rest of season. I think the Red Sox are indeed going to be sellers. I think JD Martinez is going to be on the move. I would not be shocked if Xander Bogaerts was on the move. I think they waited for Chris Sale. They got Chris Sale. They don't have Chris Sale now. I think it's all the way down the effort level. When you miss a ball like that and you don't even make a move after it, that tells you everything going on with that team. I don't care where you're down. That's a professional moment, and it's unprofessional.
By the way, you weren't looking at the screen. Did you see my nose?
Oh, very nice. I wasn't looking at the screen.
I had the prop ready.
That's tremendous.
For you.
You're a clown, bro.
I'm a clown, bro. Someone actually texted me the Duran stuff because I just been kind of critical of him in prior minor league years and stuff like that with just the little baby ankles and some of the effort stuff that was out there. And I thought he's done a whole lot better this year. But then someone was like, yo, you have to look at this. And I watched that video and I was like, that's amazing. Not only did he think that was a homer, but he just stood there and he just just do something. Like maybe they can't. I mean, I see Mayor in there maybe talking about the camera angle that made it look really bad because Verdugo was coming in, but it does seem kind of like systematic across the board for these guys.
It's bad. He didn't move. When it's out and the guy's running, at least like show like you care, like there's an effort.
That's what I'm saying. Even if you're faking it, just be like, oh, I'm gonna get it. Oh, you got it. Dang.
And somebody else brought up in the chat too, going back to the Philly thing, Alec Boehm earlier in the year too. We talked about that, like how the crowd's on it. It's you have a right to move.
Phillies or Red Sox?
Oh, good question. Phillies, because there's less
more
than
the Red Sox. Wow.
Well, there's less talent there, I think, overall. Maybe not on the pitching side, but in the bullpen, they're not good. With no Bryce Harper, I mean, look, Rafael Devers, another one, he gets hurt, so it's like, I don't know, man. I think the Red Sox are in for a rude awakening. This day in baseball history was not interesting. So yesterday was the famous George Brett Pine Tar game, which, again, if you didn't grow up in the 80s, it's too bad that was not happening now, because the amount of GIFs and memes off of George Brett sprinting out of the dugout to try to kill an umpire practically, or Billy Martin or whoever, is one of the all-time great moments in baseball. Super fun, super amazing. I love George Brett. Miss him dearly. Here's trivia for you, though. Question is, who are the 5 players who record at least 4,000 total bases with the Red Sox? So there if you have an answer, who's got 4,000 total bases with the Red Sox? If you have an answer, drop it in the chat. Well, it was the Hall of Fame, so David Ortiz, yes, was one of those guys. He is the lowest on the trough. I think it's pretty easy to get 2 of them. So Manny? Who are the other 2? I think
Manny. Is he on that list?
It is not Manny Ramirez, because so much of his damage did come in the Cleveland days.
It did. Okay. Yeah. No, well, now it took me off of saying like no. I'm just going like big guys like Nomar would probably be off.
Go Cards got one of them right. It is Yastrzemski is one of the names.
Yaz makes a lot of sense. So we got Yaz and David Ortiz.
Ted Williams, obviously the other one. So there you go. Solid picks. Got that one there.
Wade Boggs. Is that it?
Is not Wade Boggs.
No, his Rays days. There were a lot of Rays days. So
not even the Rays days, but you got to hit a lot of home runs for the total bases too.
Yeah.
People forget
so we're missing one. So let's figure it out, guys.
You're missing one. Who is it? No, it is not Wade Boggs. It is not Noma. It is not Mo Vaughn. It's none of those guys. But we'll hit some deep dive here in the meantime. So this was somebody who did a deep dive over on Fangraphs of players at the same age as Juan Soto and the WRC plus of Juan Soto compared to other players. I just want to rattle off the names of the players ahead of Juan Soto at this juncture. So Juan Soto is 9th. 8th is Jimmy Fox, XX. Mickey Mantle at 7. Albert Pujols at 6. Mike Trout at 5. Ty Cobb at 4. Stan Musial at 3. Joe Jackson at 2. Ted Williams at 1. The players behind Juan Soto, Eddie Matthews. So what do these all have in common? All in the Hall of Fame except for Joe Jackson, which obviously we all know that story.
Don't not say number 11 though.
And I was getting to that. Number 11, Fernando Tatis Jr., which I thought was fascinating. Could you imagine if the Padres did pull this off and got the 2 of those guys together?
That would be that actually, in my mind, that might be the wildest, most anticlimactic of just like if it was 1 for 1. There's like I was just gonna swap these guys. Like it'd be fun that they changed jerseys, but it'd be like, oh, we don't have 5 or 6 players changing over. We didn't have the old. It would be like a true like fantasy 1 for 1 if they made that move. It'll never happen. I would say it's the least likely thing of anything. I think the Cardinals would be more likely to acquire Soto than Tatis being traded for him. But he's hurt. Only my point when I bring up the Tatis Jordan stuff. Don't forget how good Tatis is. We've been missing him for some time.
We forget about that. We do forget sometimes because you get frustrated with the injuries. So the 5 players for the Red Sox, Yastrzemski was one, Ted Williams. By the way, Yastrzemski has more total bases than Ted Williams only because Ted Williams, missed 4 years, I think, total between 2 wars he served in. But still pretty stunning of how great Yastrzemski was. 5,000 total bases, 5,500 actually, and change. Ted Williams at 4,800 and change. David Ortiz was at 4,084. In between, one of the names here, somebody did get right. Just to bring this up here in a moment, it was Dwight Evans was one of them. Bizarrizza got it. Dewey Evans.
That was the last one.
Underrated player. Well, there's one more. There's one more because there's 5.
We got them. We got Ted Williams. We got Yastrzemski, David Ortiz.
Yastrzemski, Williams, Ortiz,
I thought we had,
Dwight Evans. There's one more.
Dwight Evans. Okay, it's not Jim Rice. I thought we had.
It is Jim Rice. It is Jim Rice. So there you go.
My favorite comment, though, go up.
Mr. Red Sox got it
right under Just Bob's. I love this YouTube comment from Chain Bloom. Says, "Is it Alex Verdugo? He's a fantastic
Isn't it Heim?
player."
It's Heim Bloom, I believe. Yes, it's nice to see a celebrity in the chat today. Heim Bloom there in the chat. Clearly has nothing better to do. Here's some stat heroes over the weekend. Brady Singer, 6 innings, 12 strikeouts from Brady Singer. Chris Bassett had 11 strikeouts and a no decision. He pitched great. Did not get a W. Wouldn't you know it, Sandy Alcantara, another 10 strikeouts, 2 earned runs. I mean, unbelievable. Tariq Skubal bounced back. That was very important. A lot of people had lost faith. He shouldn't. Sometimes guys just have bad stretches. Skubal's been great. Some other guy named Justin Verlander's been great too. He's going to feel so good when he wins that Cy Young Welsh. Another 9 Ks, 7 innings for him. Paul Goldschmidt, 4 dingers over the weekend. Aaron Judge, 8 for 13, 3 homers. Hunter Renfroe, boy, oh boy, big weekend for him, 3 dingers. We had Jose Altuve with 6 for 14 with 2 homers. Eloy Jimenez, finally, our boy Eloy, 2 homers for him, and Ramuel Tapia, 10 ribbies on the weekend. Not too shabby. Of course, the zeros, Paul Blackburn at the very top, 10 earned runs. He has 9.5 ERA through the last 20 innings. So there you go, Mike Mayer, loving life. Look, all I said was this was a guy to pick up. I never said he's Cy Young. And we got our use out of him, and then you hopefully traded him high. And I even did a video where I said trade him high. So Mike Mayer, just get off your horse.
If you could trade him high, yeah, I think we all would have agreed with that.
Yeah, of course you do. Nady Eovaldi, 9 earned runs. Ian Anderson, 7 in his start. Not good for Ian Anderson. Back to the old ways. Shohei Ohtani did strike out 11, but he gave up 6 earned. He had he had really good first 5 innings, and then it kind of fell apart. I think within the 6th or 7th. Shane Bieber, bad start for him. Can't have that if you're the you almost did it. The Guardians can't have that. I almost did it. I stopped myself. India Guardians. I did that. And I haven't done that all year. I've been very good about the Guardians thing. But they need Bieber to be good in all of his starts if they're going to stay here. Lucas Giolito, bad start for him, 6 earned, no bueno. We mentioned Robbie Ray and Miles Michaelis, 6 earned for him. Jeter Downs, 0 for 11, 8 Ks. CJ Cron, 2 for 13, 7 Ks. It has not been a good 2 months for CJ. Ryan McMahon, also bad, 0 for 10, 6 Ks. When you face guys like, Woodruff and Burns, you tend to have bad weekends. And then Castellanos, now batting 245 with 8 homers on the year, 1 for 13 stretch. But Welsh, there you go, 4 homers for him. He's up to 23. Positive Grouch and Go Cards. Both have 4-day home run call streaks going. So congratulations to them. Let's get to the bettingpros.com with BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Bet $10 to win $200 on any bet, regardless of the outcome of the game. And of course, you can do that at betmgm.com or using the BetMGM app with the promo code leading off. It's our promo code, one word, leading off. Bet 10 to win 200. That's a good deal. Tonight, a little tricky. Weird slate, not a lot of good pitching. I'd look for a lot of overs tonight. Max Fried with the K prop at Sugar House at 5.5. I'll take the over against the Phillies. I think the Phillies are scuffling right now. Jose Ramirez, total bases, 1.5. You're getting plus money at Sugar House at 106 on that one. And then Brandon Drury at 1.5 total bases, getting plus 118. He's been great. Welsh, you're on Drury tonight as well.
Yeah, that was my number one to go into, hitting 326 against lefties. And he has had hits in every game in July but 5. So, whatever the math is on how many games he's played, you're probably over 75% of hits in games. And I love the dominance against lefties. So 326 against lefties, give me the total base over. Also going to attack kind of the same thing. Freddie Freeman, total base, hitting 340 against righties. I got Espina tonight with Washington. and all over Freddie Freeman. Those are two that I really like. I struggle with the pitching props. I don't think I
not a good slate
love
of pitching.
A whole bunch. I probably avoid K props. Probably move to more like first fives or lines.
I'm just going to go overs on earned runs tonight. I mean, it's going to be invest in offense tonight because it's not a good slate of pitchers. It really isn't. Max Fried on DK at 10.5, I'd invest in. And then for secondary arms, I'd look at Jaco DeRizzi at 7.8, got good win potential, or Aaron Ashby at home, 7.7. That's it. I'm keeping it very simple. You get your Max Fried and then one Ashby lineup, one Odorizzi lineup with Fried. I think Tony Gonsolin could be a trap tonight. I'd be very concerned about that 10.2 salary. I'd rather have Max Fried. And then on the single site, you're going to get on FanDuel, you're going to get Sean Manaea on that one. So I like him at 9.9. He's the best value on the board. I'd look for Atlanta. I'd look for the Dodgers. I'd look for the Houston Astros tonight in terms of stacks. And I'm looking for Austin Riley to go yard tonight. That's my pick. Mr. Riley. Austin Riley and only Austin Riley. Your thoughts tonight, Welsh? Who do you have in the home run call contest?
You've been an Austin Riley guy lately. I think you carried him over from last week.
Right.
I'm going to go with Freddie Freeman, like I said, with my total base marker, just hitting up righties. And it's a great righty to be hitting up. So give me Freddie Freeman on the home run call tonight.
All right. Who's got what's Mike Mayer got tonight?
Got Manny Machado. I almost went Manny Machado too. That was actually my first one. I decided to move away. So me and Mayer are kind of on the same mental path for homers today, but hopefully he does not get one and I can close the ground a little bit.
There you go. All right. Tomorrow, Welsh and Bogman have you because I'm going to be in New York with my kids, going to the big WWE show tonight at Madison Square Garden. Of all the nights to be going to the Garden. Of all the nights. Who knows what wild things. There's always crazy things that happen in the Garden anyway. That is the home.
Lots of Triple H.
I know. Maybe we'll get Triple H coming out. Possible Edge return. Lots of exciting things. Who knows? Maybe
it'd be great if Triple H came out and was like, Vince, you're fired. That would be like a great like passing the torch moment.
It would be. Not going to happen. But you might get H to come out. You never know. Fun things always happen at the Garden. That is a great place to see a WWE event.
That'll be fun.
Never had. So we're excited, but we're staying over. I'm not going to make it back in time for the show, but that's okay because my boys from the ITL in this league Army are going to take you through tomorrow. But we'll be back for the football show in the afternoon. For all those of you who are watching that, we have a fun live stream NFL mock draft going on. Make sure you subscribe to the Fantasy Pros regular channel, not just the MLB. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Oh, yeah.